Good afternoon and welcome to Newsbeat. This bulletin is live on DSTV channel 277. It's also live on Facebook, Metro TV Ghana, and on Twitter, Metro TV GH. Let's take a look at the headline. National Chairman of the Opposition NDC Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo calls on all party executives and members to abstain from violence and puts the party first as they begin the process of electing constituency executives. Public Utilities Regulatory Commission says customers who were recently affected by some vending challenges will be compensated from Monday, October 24th. Now in business, Ghanaians continue to reel under the impact of the harsh economic conditions as the cedi continues to depreciate against major foreign currencies. And in news from elsewhere, the congressional panel investigating last year's Capitol riots has issued a legal summons ordering former President Donald Trump to testify to lawmakers. This and many more coming up in the next 60 minutes.
Zuzuza. Arise for Ghana, operation of the land.
Welcome, it's still Newsbeat. Let's move to our first story. Now, the election of NDC constituency executives is underway across 16 regions, with elections put on hold in some areas. Now, a total of 354,708 delegates are expected to cast their ballots to elect new constituency executives for the NDC in a nationwide constituency polls today. The delegates include branch, constituency, regional executives and former government appointees. Meanwhile, the party has put on hold elections in some constituencies due to dispute over delegates' list. Now, my colleague Jeffrey Atipo has joined us live from Tema West to give us more updates. Hi, Jeffrey. Can you hear me, Jeffrey?
Hi.
Yes, give us updates.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, give us some updates. What's happening at Tema West? How's the situation over there?
All right. So currently we are at the Tema West constituency here, where the election is also the constituency election is also taking part. But not too long ago, when we came here, we noticed that there was some agitation among some of the candidates over here over some issues regarding people who are supposed to be manning the ballot boxes. So without much ado, I have one of the men over here, one of the aspirants over here, who is vying for the chairmanship position, who has been agitating all this while about this particular issue. So let me just engage him to find out from him what the issues are over here. All right, so if you can kindly join me. So kindly introduce yourself. What's your name? And I saw you earlier on agitating with the electoral officials over there. What is the issue?
Well, my name is Jasper Mide. I'm aspiring for chairmanship position in Tema West over here. I'm contesting with the incumbent Mohamed Issa. There's a lot of things that yesterday we were at a meeting concerning these particular issues, how we are going to present, we are going to mount our boxes for us, and we all agree that they make it clear to us that they're going to use almost 4 police stations. And we were saying that then we are also going to bring 4 of our agents to monitor everything for us. We get here this morning and we realize that they wanted one person to monitor the 4 police stations, which we disagree with that. And most of our supporters were agitated. They said they're not going to accept that. They're not going to allow it. But and yesterday the same thing, we even spoke about the internal security, which was formed by one of the aspirants. We agreed that they're not going to bring any of those security in here, which the director of election and others accept that it's not going to be that. But this morning we came here, we saw those guys on the floor, which is not right. Before we say Jack, they were there pushing people not to get close to the agents, the director of election. Fine, people were agitated, we were fighting here and there, people were not happy with the whole issue. But 1 minute ago, we heard that they came to conclusion they're going to use 1 polling station, which in each and every aspirant should bring his polling agents to monitor the process. So this is what we have gotten to now. Thank you.
So for now, the issue is yet to be resolved.
Yes, the issue is resolved. We are all waiting for them for the agents, the director of election to start calling the wards to start the process, to start the voting. So we are all waiting calmly. The temper was high now. The tempers were cool. It was high, but now everything was cool. We are all waiting to have a smooth election because NDC, we don't want this thing to happen. This is what happened some few years ago. We were all happy. We were angry that they rigged the election. We can't allow this thing to happen in our own time. We're not going to allow the same thing to happen in our own constituency. So please, this time around, let me assure you, some of us, we are very peaceful people. My slogan is unifier. I wanted to unite the entire constituency. So we are not here to fight. We were here to go to the election free and fair. So by the end of the day, whoever made the victorious, then we all rally behind the person and push the agenda of the 2024 for us to wrestle the power from this wicked and insensitive government. This is what I can say for now. Thank you.
What are your chances regarding this particular election in the position?
That's the fact. You know, we all want peace in the constituency. Some years back, or 2020 elections, you can see that my contenders, which is the chairman and then the vice, that was the loggerhead. There's no peace among them. They were fighting here and there. We don't even know where we are going. We were confused. So I'm sure the delegates are going to decide today because they don't want to go through these things any longer. They wanted to go to that 2024 election with a united front. So I'm sure that they're going to vote for me this afternoon, and by the end of the day, I'll carry the day.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Jasper. So that is one of the aspirants over here who is vying for the chairmanship position of this particular constituency. So let me also remind viewers that election over here at Tema West is yet to start because of issues about setup and a few other issues regarding people's name being omitted from the ballot sheet. So this has been an issue. That the election is expected to start around 7 a.m. But as at this time, they are yet to begin elections over here. But quickly, I want to also talk about some security. I've seen the district commander. The district police commander around. Let me quickly find out from him to also find out what the security is about regarding this particular event. So commander, quickly, if you can. All right, so the commander is currently engaging, is on the telephone now, but we'll try and speak to some other people around here to find out what exactly they make of this particular event. All right, so Chairman, can we have you to speak to? You are live on Metro TV. Can you introduce yourself and what you make of the situation, what the atmosphere right now?
Okay, my name is Peter Kuju. I'm the current Deputy Secretary, now vying for the position of Vice Chairman. I think the euphoria is great. NDC as a party, we have always been united. The process has started, but there have been some small skirmishes, which is almost been resolved, as you can see. The process is about to start. I believe that at the end of the day, whether we lose or we win, we are still going to be resolute and stand together as a party. And that is the most important thing for us. Our enemy, I always tell people, it is not ourselves, it is the MPP. What we have to do to better the lot of Ghanaians, that is the focus. Okay, now how much is $1? You see, how much is the price of a liter of petrol? Those are the living, situations that we need to talk about. Yes, we are not able to even feed ourselves. You understand? My good friend Sam George is now telling us that, look, now the formation is what? 0-1-0. You skip your breakfast, you take your lunch, then you skip your supper. How can we survive in a country like this?
All right, so let's stick to the elections here today. What are your chances in this particular election?
Yes, I think I've been around. My message has always revolved around three things: experience, cohesion, and unity. I always tell people that, look, where we are going into 2024, you need experienced hands. And the experienced hands are the ones you already know who are delivering. I've delivered excellently on my mandate as a deputy secretary. And now I'm vying for vice. And it's not something I decided to do. But the masses, they called for me. They came to me and they told me that, look, you are the best candidate to fill it.
So that was my colleague Jeffrey Atipo giving us more updates on the Tema West NDC constituency elections. Now moving on to the Central Region. 3 constituencies in the Central Region are electing executives for respective constituencies. The remaining 20 constituencies have been directed by the party to hold theirs on Sunday. However, there was drama at the Gomoa East and Ewutu Senya West constituencies when delegates showed up but had elections suspended due to lack of ballot papers. We have Akwesi Ado, who is our Central Regional correspondent, on Zoom as well.
And the Gomoa East constituencies are on hold due to court injunction. 20 constituencies in the Central Region have been directed to hold the elections on Sunday, 23rd October 2022. There was drama at the Ewutu Senya West constituency and the Gomoa East constituency as delegates were turned away due to lack of ballot papers after showing up at voting venues. Also at Efutu, names of 4 candidates who were cleared by the appeal committee of the party following their earlier disqualification by the vetting committee did not appear on the ballot paper. This forced the suspension of the elections. Meanwhile, vigorous preparations are underway at the Ewutu Senya East constituency, Kaswa, where 2,615 delegates will converge to elect executives for the constituency. Chairman of the constituency, Stephen Ofosu Ejare, said preparations are far advanced and admonishes delegates and aspirants to be of good conduct at the elections ground.
I'll advise every delegate to comport he or herself very well. The Election Commission is coming to conduct the election. Police are coming to, on security aspect, police are coming to make sure that everything is secured. And trust me, trust Amajare, this election is going to be very successful. And I'm using this caution to everyone. Nobody should come and misbehave at the place. Nobody should come and misbehave because police will be there in their attendance. With that, I think everything will be okay.
Some aspirants and delegates also spoke to Metro News about their expectations.
Delegates have really given me the opportunity to sell my message to them. And then I think it is going well. I'm seeing a win on my end. Probably I would even be the lead because with my message going around, and which is a doable message, the delegates know that I am capable of that position.
We have 2,615 delegates, 2,615 drawn from the 291 branches, together with 4 special voters. The special voters are the 2 NEC members that we have here, the former MCE, and then our regional women organizer. Then we have 28 constituency executives. They form the executive, the delegates that are supposed to vote tomorrow. With regards to the number of aspirants, we have close to 57 aspirants vying for all the positions available, with the exception of the chairman and Zongo course who are going unopposed.
The election is going to be successful. We know the kind of aspirants and the candidates we are going for. We are taking them to the promised land that they are going to deliver and deliver good for we the delegates.
What I expect from every delegate is to comport themselves. We are one people. This is an internal elections. Right after the election, we need everybody on board so that we can face the 2024 elections together. So I would want us to go there having that in mind, so that at the end of the elections, there will not be acrimony and rancor will not lead to disaffection from we ourselves.
Now, our Central Regional Correspondent Akwesi Ado has also joined us to tell us whether or not voting has started in the areas where he earlier reported that there were no ballot papers. Hello, Akwesi.
Okay.
Yeah, so give us the update.
Okay, so apart from the three constituencies, as you mentioned earlier on, that is Upper Dentra East, Upper Dentra West, and Maguna East constituencies in the Central Region here, all the remaining 20 constituencies have been asked to put their elections on hold, and the directive is coming from the regional headquarters of the party here in the Central Region. Now, for the Gomoa East, we had the incumbent chairman of the constituency, Mr. Afisa Anthony, attacked by armed robbers in the night of Friday. They had the windscreens of his vehicle being smashed, and then an amount of 40,000 Ghana cedis, including his mobile phones, being taken away. And so this morning, just when delegates had converged at the place that was supposed to hold the Congress, they were told that the ballot papers for the respective positions aren't in yet, and so they cannot have the elections. Same incident occurred at the Ewutu Senya West constituency, and then the Efutu constituency as well. Now, with regards to the Efutu constituency, there has been some sort of tension in the constituency right from the start of the process, because we had about 4 candidates being disqualified. And then the inside story is that all the 4 candidates are perceived to be sworn followers of the former parliamentary candidate for the party in the constituency. And so some factions believe that at this time they destabilize the kind of authority the former candidate is wielding, and so they decided to disqualify those candidates. But those candidates upon appeal were cleared by the appeals committee to contest. But today, all the 4 candidates had their names failing to appear on the ballot papers, and so the party decided to put that elections also on hold. Thank
you, Akwesi Ado. He has been giving us updates from the Central Region. Now, Ashanti Region may be the stronghold of the NPP, but the NDC is seeking to make a huge impact in all 47 constituencies. Abdul Basit Suleiman is our correspondent, and he brings us up to speed with the happenings over there. Hello, Basit.
Harriet, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yes, take it away.
Yeah, the quest for the Ashanti Regional Branch of the Opposition National Democratic Congress to have its constituency elections in all the 47 constituencies of the region has been shut down, as 2 constituencies, Menchia South and Swami, have secured an injunction on the elections, meaning that the 2 of them will not be able to partake in this election. However, 22 constituencies today, Saturday, are undertaking, have even begun the processes to elect their constituency executives. At Menchia North constituency, where I first visited, a total of 880 delegates will be voting to elect 23 executives. Even though as at 10 a.m. that I've been to that place, the voting has not started, and even though the processes, the electoral commissions were there, almost all the delegates were there, but the election had not started as at that time. From there, I came to Aswansi constituency, one of the strongholds of the NDC in the Ashanti region, which is also having the largest delegates so far, with 1,850 delegates who will be voting this afternoon to elect 23 executives for the constituency. At Bantima, where I am currently, there is also a huge delegate over here. 1,400 delegates are currently voting to elect 23 executives over here. So far, all the places have been so quiet. The place exercise is moving on smoothly without any hitches as I speak with you right now.
All right.
Ariel.
Thank you, Abdul Basit. He's our Ashanti regional correspondent. Now, moving on, 9 out of 18 constituencies set to conduct elections today in the northern region. Our correspondent, Alhassan Dibaba, joins us with details. Alhassan, kindly unmute for me, please.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, like you rightly mentioned, here in the northern region, 9 out of 18 constituencies are conducting their elections today. And these constituencies consist of the Yendi constituency, Bimbila constituency, Gushegu constituency, Zabuzugu, Karaga, and Wilinsi constituency, all in the northern region. But within Tamale Central and Tamale South are also conducting elections for 5 positions, which are youth organizer, deputy youth organizer, women organizer, and then deputy women organizer and youth rep. So those 2 constituencies within Tamale Central and Tamale South constituency are conducting elections for those 5 positions in the northern region. I'm currently at the Ali Muhammad Sports Stadium where the Tamale Central elections of those 5 positions are taking place, and the situation is very calm. Even though they haven't started yet, they are still striking out some names that they believe should not be on the register. So that is what is happening at the Ali Muhammad Sports Stadium with regards to the Tamale Central elections. At the Tamale South constituency, where it is taking place at Radaj Memorial Center, voting started earlier and they are just about to finish voting at the Tamale South constituency. Things are going on well there because there's nothing untoward happening at that constituency as well. But currently, the constituency to look out for in the northern region is the Tamale Central constituency, where the chairmanship position is a hot cake between the incumbent and another person who is contesting him keenly. So in the northern region, things are going on smoothly, even though not all the constituencies are conducting their elections. So the main elections comes off tomorrow. That is on Sunday, where the rest of the constituency, especially the northern part of the region, are going to conduct their elections in the northern region. So things are going on smoothly in the northern region.
Thank you, Alhassan Dibaba. He's been giving us updates from the northern region. Now, moving on, NDC Chairman Ofosu Ampofo has called on all party executives and party members to abstain from violence and put the party first in the upcoming elections, noting that the party is a reconciliatory one.
All our participants and those who are going to contest in this election, the best of luck. And I pray that the Almighty God will grant us traveling mercies for all the delegates that will be traveling from far and near to their various constituencies to participate in this election.
The National Democratic Congress would hold its constituency elections between October 22nd and 23rd, 2022, while the regional elections will be held between November 12 and 13, 2022. The expiring candidates who have already been vetted for the constituency elections will be vying for 7,728 positions in 276 constituencies, including the Santro Kofi Atmafulikbe and Lolobi constituency, which does not have a representation in parliament yet. Each constituency has 28 slots for the executive positions. Despite some recorded chaos in the regions, national chairman of the party, Samuel Ofosu Ampofo, assured of a well-laid structure of the party ahead of the event.
We have given them unfettered access. We have made sure that the elections committee have provided the voting list to all contestants. We've made sure that they've campaigned, and we have asked that our campaigns should be devoid of insults and attacks, personal attacks, and so on and so forth. If we are able to do that, at the end of the day, democracy will be the winner. NDC will stand very strong and will be poised to win the 2024 elections.
We'll be back with more news after this break. Do stay. Welcome back from the break. It's still Newsbeat, and my name is Harriet Adi. Now let's do more stories. Now, Ghanaians are reeling under the impact of the harsh economic situation as the cedi has hit an all-time low against the US dollar. Many businesses are on the verge of collapse, and the call for caution is louder than before.
Ghana cedi has slumped significantly against the US dollar. By close of Friday, the Ghana cedi lost further grounds to trade at 15 cedis to the dollar. This has forced members of the trading community to shut their shops for 2 days in protest against the high cost of doing business. Economist Courage Boti explains the reasons for the cedi slump.
If you're an investor and IMF is telling you that Ghana is approaching debt distress levels, naturally you would want to start moving out your monies if you have the chance. A lot of people are taking those monies and going to buy the dollar, buy some FX and keep, because that one, they can keep it even in their room and still make good returns on it. They can keep it in their FX accounts and make good returns on them, and government will not have control. And debt restructuring, if it happens, will not have effect on those kind of investments. That is the trend I'm seeing in the last few days, the last few weeks really, is the reason the cedi is falling quite sharply.
It said the situation is forcing investors to move out and called on government to hasten negotiations with the IMF to broker a deal as soon as possible.
Investors were taking risk in Ghana, Kenya, and Nigeria and other South African markets. I mean, so long as your fundamentals are okay, they were taking risks. Now they had the problem of most of those countries hiking interest rates because of the inflation problem that are persisting there, really. So long as there are concerns about their investment here, they would always move into those havens now, or those countries now whose interest rates are higher. The inclination is that we need to accelerate negotiations with the IMF towards a program.
He also called on the public to cease buying the dollar if there isn't the need for it.
We need to cease buying the FS at a stand now.
Right.
If you do not have real need for it, let's cease buying it, because what it will do is to cause problem for everybody, including your own self, and the returns you would have made on purchasing dollars will not be enough to make up for the price you will face on the market.
Meanwhile, some members of the opposition parties have criticized government for the current economic woes.
But what about the ordinary man whose savings has dwindled to nothing? That if I had 20,000 Ghana cedis in the bank, putting it as a buffer against any storm that comes into my life, today it is nothing.
And so if at any point in time we feel that you are not delivering on that mandate, that you are not using our resources judiciously, we have every responsibility and every right to point that out to you. And the least we would expect from you is to talk down on us.
But government spokesperson on governance and security, Hargrave Boachi Dankwa, is assuring Ghanaians of relief soon.
Last year, you'll recall that the president said that he does not care about the election, but he cares about the next generation.
Right.
Especially as it relates to COVID-19 and all the things that we did, which clearly means that we are thinking about the development of this country, not just because we want to win an election. The very teething challenges that we are having in this country clearly are being addressed.
Moving on, the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission says customers who were recently affected by some vending challenges will be compensated Monday, October 24th. In a statement, the PURC is asking the affected customers to visit the district offices of the ECG or the regional offices of the PURC to begin the compensation processes. Alternatively, they can visit the website of both the PURC and the ECG to complete and submit forms for consideration for compensation. Now, joining us by phone is Dr. Eric Kofi Obute, who is the Director, Research and Corporate Affairs at the PURC. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, madam.
All right. So how many customers were affected by this exercise, and how have you quantified how much is likely to be lost to the ECG as a result of this compensation exercise?
Thank you very much. And at this point in time, we do not know the number of people who have been affected. That's why we are running a survey. We've designed forms and left them at the district offices of ECG and the regional offices of PURC. They are on the website of ECG and the website of PURC. So people could fill in, and then we can this will enable us to know the number of people who have been affected and a compensation package that will be given to these people.
All right. And in what form would this compensation be made to the customers, and how?
Well, the compensation, once ECG notes the people who have been affected adversely, the compensation will be in the form of, as we put up in the order, the monetary terms which will be given to you back in terms of electricity units or credits. So we said for a residential customer, 10 penalty units, and 1 penalty unit is 12 cedis. That translates into 120 cedis. So if we know your consumption, the survey that we are running, we know your consumption based on the form that you have filled. We know your meter number. We know on average how much you consume on a monthly basis. This will determine how much will be given to the consumer. For instance, in the case of industrial customers, you said the penalty units should be 1,000 or so. Yeah. So that translates into about 1,200.
Wow. Now, take us through the process customers are required to go through.
Well, you just walk into any district office of the ECG, or you go to PURC offices around the country, or you go online and you fill the form. The form is available online. You just fill the form, and that form, you just hit the submit button, and that will be sent immediately to the ECG offices and to the PURC. So together, we come together and we decide how much will be given to this particular customer who has been affected. So it's just a simple process of filling a simple form online.
All right. Some people that were not affected might take advantage of this situation to receive compensation. How are you making sure that people that were not affected might not be able to get the compensation as well?
Exactly the point. That's why we are running this survey. So you fill the form and we'll determine whether from the form that you fill, the questions that you answer or you respond to, we'll be able to determine whether you've been affected or you've not been affected. And we know the areas which have been affected. So at least if we know your meter number, your geocode, we know whether you are telling us the truth or you are not telling us the truth. So the form that you fill will make us filter the people who have been affected and who actually must be compensated.
All right. Thank you very much for speaking with us. Now, we have been talking to Dr. Eric Kofi Obute, who is a Director, Research and Corporate Affairs at the PURC. And moving on, a labor expert, Austin Game, has urged government to rethink the appointment of Dr. Eric Nkansa as GS Director General following a stark rejection from teacher unions. He called on government to possibly reverse the appointment of the new Director General and make room for wider consultation.
Professor Kwesi Opoku Amankwa was relieved of his post as Director General of the Ghana Education Service in a letter from the Presidency dated October 17, 2022. He was succeeded by Dr. Eric Nkansa, a move that has been fiercely resisted by teacher unions in the country.
The teacher unions, 3 major ones, who are unhappy and whose members equally seems to be supportive of the call of the union. It does appear as though the employer will have to rethink. Even though it's his right to appoint, he will have to rethink because the gentleman cannot be a proud worker in that service without the support, not of just of the union, but of the working people there who are equally desirous to occupy such offices. So I think the employer will have to rethink, even though it's their right to appoint the people. If they force it, the consequences will be too much.
They are therefore calling for the immediate removal of the new Ghana Education Service boss. Labour expert Austin Game says government must rethink the appointment of the new GES boss and not impose him on the teachers.
A lot of consultations could have been undertaken before embarking upon it, which it appears may not be the case. Our labor law is very clear. You know, you have to have an open channels of communication with your people under Section 9G of the Labor Act. So a lot of communication should be there. The Constitution also demands, under the directive principles of state policy, I believe Article 36, 10 and 11, you know, demands that participation, inclusivity is very important. It's always advisable to involve people who are directly beneficiaries of any such organizations, you know, such action to be taken.
Now, to some other stories, Ghana Medical Association has urged government to quickly fix challenges facing Pharmaceutical Manufacturers, Importers and Wholesalers Association of Ghana to prevent total return to the cash and carry system. The association halted credit deals with the regional medical store over high import costs, but General Secretary of the GMA, Dr. Titus Bayu, says drugs shortage will collapse the health sector.
Position of the Pharmaceutical Importers, Producers and Manufacturers Association, what they are suggesting that they will be doing will have a devastating effect on our health and the health of everybody in this country. Let's not take this lightly. At this moment, they are saying that cash and carry, no credit to the facilities and anybody who buys drugs from them on wholesale. What that means is that the facilities, private and public, cannot also give the drugs to you on credit. And how do we give the drugs to patients on credit? We give the drugs to patients on credit when they come with the various insurances, either health, the public national health insurance or the various private health insurances. Each of these, when a patient presents to a public or private facility with these insurance, they are treated, serve medications, and the insurance will pay sometimes 3 months, 6 months, 9 months later. Now, if the hospital cannot get the drugs on credit and has to pay upfront, it means that this has to be passed on to the patients to pay upfront. Then the essence of all our health insurance system is lost. It's the reason why we are saying government needs to quickly see how they can find innovative ways to prevent collapse of the health insurance system, because access to health care is going to be threatened seriously if this is carried through. I think the
Away from that, the Kumasi Compost and Recycling Plant is a mega-scale municipal solid waste treatment plant set up to receive and treat municipal solid waste from the Kumasi metropolis and adjoining districts' assemblies. The facilities, which currently produces 9,000 bags of fertilizer for the local market, is embarking on an ambitious expansion project to enable it to recycle over 2,000 tons of waste per day.
The general manager of KCAP, Samuel Intumi, who gave an overview of the facility during a working visit by the Parliamentary Press Corps, indicated that Kumasi generates between 1,500 to 2,000 tons of waste per day. The situation, according to him, led to the visionary executive chairman of the Jospon Group of Companies and Zoom Lion to inculcate the excess capacity, making this recycling plant the largest in the sub-region.
We are only doing enough to break even, but not looking so much on just the commercial. It's more about what we can do for the country. Our executive chairman believes in solving problems first for the nation, and then making sure you don't lose out in the process.
Samuel Intumi pointed out that the plant deploys a tunneling system to produce the finest compost, which is derived from the organic fraction of the waste.
He has a farming a train for some months, some years. Say the our trains are good. Organic nankasano is easy assassino. Emma in Yabano in kama pa very good. So they should buy from us, and the price is not expensive. Currently, it's only 30 cedis per bag for farmers. 30 cedis, and also people are charging 300 cedis, 200 cedis, 180 cedis, 30 cedis per bag under the Planting for Food and Jobs initiative, PFJ. No.
KCAP is a subsidiary of the Environment and Sanitation Cluster of the Jospon Group of Companies, who are providing recycling facilities in all 16 regions of Ghana, in line with Ghana's vision of making the country the cleanest in Africa.
Executive Secretary of the Environmental Service Providers Association, Amal Fori-Entry, has called on government to support private sector players in the sanitation sector to improve sanitation in the country. She made this known when the Jospon Group of Companies treated participants of the 2022 All Systems Go Africa Forum to a tour at the Accra Compost and Recycling Plant.
395 million Africans lack access to safely managed drinking water, and 504 million live without safe sanitation services, It is on the back of this that the All Systems Go Africa, a bilingual event, was put together by the government of Ghana together with IRC and UNICEF to strengthen the world's water, sanitation and hygiene systems. The forum saw participants in the wash sector from several countries across the world. As part of the program, waste management giant Sumlion Ghana Limited took some of the participants on a tour at the Accra Compost and Recycling Plant. Sofa Kujoji is the head of communications of the Jospon Group of companies.
So the tour was basically to give the participants at the IRC conference an idea or an insight into what the practical things being done by the private sector. So they see exactly what is happening and they know that, oh wow, so it's not just talk. They were all blown away by the level of investment and the level of facility infrastructure development that is happening in this country by private sector in the area of waste treatment and being able to even transform the waste from organic waste to organic compost for the agri sector is something that they found very amazing.
Executive Secretary of the Environmental Service Providers Association, Aba Ofori Entry, after the tour, urged the government of Ghana to support private sector players in the sanitation sector.
So this is where we keep calling on government to make sure that it supports everybody working in the sector so that we can improve our sanitation, health and hygiene in the country.
The Minister of Water and Energy in Ethiopia, Dr. Engineer Haptam Itefa, who participated in the tour, was impressed with the level of work done by the Jospon Group of companies.
It really feels so wonderful when we can see local companies are working like this and committed to recycle the waste and to make a better life for people. That's one thing. Second one, I think they need to scale up. They need to also use another part of Africa. And overall, for the concept, I would like to say thank you very much.
The program also created the platform for participants to explore and act upon opportunities to build effectiveness and resilience into water, sanitation and hygiene service delivery in Africa.
It is still Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Let's take a look at some tips.
Breast Cancer Awareness Month is proudly brought to you by Reflux Sanitary Pad and Baby Pull-Up Diaper and Give Us Floor and WC Cleaners.
Follow a nutritious diet rich in foods like leafy greens, fatty fish, citrus fruits, beans, berries, and certain herbs and spices to reduce breast cancer risk.
We take a quick break. Do stay. It's now time for business. Now, the head of freight and logistics at the Ghana Shippers Authority, Fred Esiedu Date, says the demurrage payments by shippers declined from $76 million in 2017 to $19 million in 2021. This, according to the authority, is due to constant sensitization of freight forwarders and industry players on how to handle their consignment at the port.
Demurrage and detention charges have drastically increased in the recent years. Freight forwarders and shippers are no longer strangers to the dreaded demurrage and detention charges charged by the shipping lines. These surcharges have become one of the most controversial topics in the shipping industry recently due to the free fall of the Ghana cedis. At a sensitization seminar on container demurrage and how to avoid demurrage, some freight forwarders lamented the constant fall of the cedi, which they say is adversely affecting their businesses.
Just last Monday, you go to Golden Jubilee Terminal and only 4 containers were opened. Why should it be so? We used to open about 250 containers. I mean, that's what we used to do. But if you are doing only 4 containers, then it should tell you that the concerns are everywhere. People just can't pay because of the rates of exchange.
We've tried to highlight
the effect of, rampant rise in or depreciation of the cedi, how it will affect our, trade. But the government seems not to be, concerned. But we pray that the government, come and do something about it so that we get some profit from our businesses.
The head of freight forwarders and logistics at the Ghana Shippers Authority, Fred Esiedu Date, mentioned that such engagement by the authority has reduced demurrage charges paid by shippers.
At every point you're paying demurrage, it's, the payment is pegged to the exchange rate, the current exchange rate. And quite obviously, if previously you were paying it at a certain rate, with what is happening today, the figures will go up. And that, again, is kind of significantly increases the impact on shippers' business, which is why this event has been organized. Because we think that if you were already taking steps to improve or to speed up or to expedite the clearance of your goods, this is the time you need to put it on overdrive so that, you don't have any hitches in terms of the clearance of your cargo. And thankfully, there are mechanisms today that, allow for people to even do pre-arrival declaration.
According to the authority, an estimated demurrage payment by shippers declined from $76 million in 2017 to $19 million in 2021.
Still on business, Ghana continues to be a front runner in Africa as the continent's tech ecosystem scales exponentially with a 119% mobile phone penetration. According to the CEO of the Jospon ICT Group, Samuel Ofori-Jampo, this calls for an increased investment toward developing a sustainable human capital for the sector.
Industry experts estimate that Ghana's ICT sector is currently valued at about $1 billion and may reach $5 billion by 2030. This creates an opportunity for an increased demand for human resources to sustain the sector. Speaking at the Tech Forum at the Ghana Communications Technology University in Accra, the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Emmanuel Ohene Afwakwa, says the project will help advance the nation's digitalization agenda.
Yeah, in the area of the digitalization, so the future is very bright. We know that we're going to produce the human capital base that is needed so that every challenge that will come or emerge in Ghana or in the West African sub-region will have the expertise that have been produced inland to be able to address them. Because, as you know, we used to queue at banks, and now you go to bank, you virtually will find anybody there because of IT. People are still banking, but they are banking on their phones because of IT, the apps, the softwares that have been developed by these IT experts.
The Chief Operating Officer of Jospon ICT Group, Samuel Ofori-Jampo, believes this collaboration will solve the expert demand in the market.
And there's a huge demand for software engineers, which we currently do not have. So there are a lot of requests on our table today, and when we go out in the market to look for relevant software developers, we struggle to find. We are creating a whole ecosystem of pipeline of developers who are going to come into the tech industry. They develop innovative solutions, make the social impact, and generate economic benefit to themselves, to the schools, and then to the country.
Well, that's it for business news. Up next, entertainment. The Youth Bridge Foundation has premiered its much anticipated movie Wildfire, themed on COVID-19 and its impact on Ghana. The movie was premiered at the Alliance Francaise here in Accra.
It was a night to behold. The arts patrons came out in their numbers to watch the premiere of this much anticipated movie put together by the Youth Bridge Foundation in collaboration with JSC Productions and Osiwa. People could not hold themselves as they burst out laughing, enjoying every scene of the movie as it was being shown. Michael Akinrogunde is the director of the movie.
These are things that we actually do in real life. So if you have hidden cameras in people's lives and you can see what happens in their lives, you would see many of these themes, coming through in their daily lives. So it was easy-ish to put that into the movie. A lot of people had experiences with COVID, but there were hardly any experiences that had been documented. Because it's a pandemic, people are either shy or ashamed to talk about like how they lived with it, how they lived through it with their families. So I think it was just important to show how the pandemic and COVID-19 affected marginalized societies, and then that's what we tried to do with the movie.
Some actors featured in the movie also spoke to Metro News.
I understood the bit of the evangelist, and I knew that this is an acting bit that I need to tone down a lot of things to bring the actual person out. Then I can fuse in a little of my comic to make it, stand out bit. So it's something, one of the roles I've really loved. I've never played an evangelist nor a pastor in any movie. So it was one challenging, but yet still one fulfilled one for me.
It was interesting actually working on this set. I love it. We had enough time to put ourselves together. Living in one place for close to about 10 or more days. It was an experience. It was really enough time to bond together like we all saw. And this is the first time that some of us are actually working with some of the people that we work with. If we get a chance probably in the future, I'm sure we should be able to do something much better than what we saw.
Wildfire tells the story of COVID-19 from the Ghanaian perspective, also highlighting issues of disability, love, sexual harassment, and other pertinent societal issues. The movie features renowned actors Ajit Anand, Martha Ankuma, Calibos, Zimran Claude.
Well, that's it for entertainment news. Up next, international news.
The congressional panel investigating last year's Capitol riot has issued a legal summon ordering former President Donald Trump to testify to lawmakers. A lawyer for Trump accused the lawmakers on the committee of flouting norms. The former president has lambasted the inquiry over rules designed to distract voters from the disaster of democratic governance, with U.S. midterm elections looming next month. Trump could face criminal charges if he does not comply with the subpoena. He has until 4th November to provide documents to the 6th January committee and must appear for deposition testimony on or about 4th November. If he refuses to testify to Congress or hand over the requested material, the committee could refer the matter to the Department of Justice, potentially triggering criminal proceedings. The subpoena was issued just 4 hours after former Trump strategist Steve Bannon was fined $6,500 and sentenced to 4 months in jail for contempt of Congress. British Conservative Party politician Rishi Sunak is said to have amassed enough support to stand for the Tory leadership contest. As speculations grows, former Prime Minister Boris Johnson will join the race to succeed Liz Truss, who bowed out after 6 turbulent weeks, becoming the shortest-serving Prime Minister.
Well, that's it for international news, and this is where we bring an end to the news at 12 with me, Harriet Addy. Have a good afternoon. Enjoy the rest of our programs.